So this is a very easy recipe, and this is one of Kinnikinnick's favorite mixes because it's so easy. So it's a 3-to-2 ratio. So today we're going to make a dozen buns.
Okay.
We're going to make 6 plain Kinni-Kwik bread and bun.
Yeah.
And then we're going to make 6 of the Kinni-Kwik sunflower flax bread and bun.
Okay, so when we talk about a 3-to-2 ratio, we're saying 3 parts of mix and 2 parts of water. And then you can adjust that based on that ratio no matter what you're making and how much you want to make.
Right.
Okay.
So today, because we're making 6 buns, we're going to use 2 cups of dry and 1 1/3 cups of liquid.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you get into any complicated conversions, we are going to put a little quick reference calculator on the website, so it makes it easy to do those conversions for you.
And this is an all-in method, so it makes it really easy. You just put both ingredients in the mixing bowl.
And if you don't have a KitchenAid stand mixer like you have here,
you could use a hand mixer.
Okay.
Or if you had to use a wooden spoon to mix it, it would work. But just remember, you're mixing for 2 minutes.
Okay.
So your hand might get a little sore.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, one key thing to remember when we're mixing for 2 minutes is that 2 minutes may seem like a short amount of time, but it's actually a fairly long time when you're mixing. So in the first couple times you work with the product, it's best to use a timer or something like that so that you do mix it thoroughly, because what can happen if you don't mix it long enough?
It doesn't get enough volume, and they have a tendency to collapse, especially if you decide to make a loaf out of this.
Yeah.
Then the loaf will collapse in the middle.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, one thing that's great, we have many stories about many products that we've made, and one thing, a great little story about our Kinni-Kwik bread and bun mix is, this mix has traveled the world, and one thing to remember is it's so versatile and so easy to use that it's actually been 17,700 feet high on Mount Everest at base camp, and the Sherpas would use it simply to make a little flatbread with a Bunsen burner and melt some snow. And it's that easy to use, and it can be used in many different areas for just about anything. So it's a really great product. In the future, we're going to be doing a show dedicated to Kinni-Kwik bread and bun mix because there's so many versatile uses for it.
And one thing that we're going to showcase today is we're going to take the plain Kinni-Kwik bread and bun, and we're going to add a little bit of cheddar to it.
Okay.
So
we're going to have some cheesy buns.
You betcha. And it just adds to a nice presentation in your basket on the table.
Yep.
So you have a mixture of the seed buns, you have some cheddar buns, and you have some plain buns.
Okay.
A little bit of variety. So we're just about at the 2-minute mark. So that just goes to show how long it takes to mix.
Yeah, if I was using my hand blender, I'd probably been done a long time ago, thinking it was right.
So one thing when you look at the consistency, it thickens up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a nice smooth batter.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have any lumps.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to scoop
Okay.
3 buns, and then we're going to add some cheese.
Okay.
Okay? So I've given you a choice. If you have a scoop at home, you can use a scoop. And if you don't have a scoop, then 2 tablespoons work just as well.
Okay.
Okay? And you can drop the bun depending what size. If you like bigger buns, you can make them bigger, but just remember to adjust your baking time accordingly.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, so I'm going to make 3.
Yep.
And I just we want this to be level?
Yeah, that's a good size.
Okay. Right in there. This is actually a very smooth batter. It's really easy to work with.
And it's a very fluffy bun.
Yeah.
So next what we're going to do is we're going to throw some cheddar in here. And you don't need to throw it back on the mixer. Just get rid of this. So we're just going to throw 3/4 of this cheese in.
3/4 of it?
Yeah, and then we're going to use some to top some of the buns.
Okay. And just spread it around.
Yeah.
And then when I scoop, I just got to make sure I get...
Well, we're going to use a spoon, actually, just to mix it in. Make sure it's even.
All right. So there we go,
that's
3/4.
Good. So we just use a spoon. Just give it a quick stir. And the reason why we don't have to mix it again for 2 minutes, because we've already done that. We've already got the volume. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to give that a little scrape off on the side.
I'm just going to wash my hands.
And I'm making 3 more.
Right.
Cheesy buns. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
All right.
So next up,
I can take this cheese and put it right on top?
You betcha.
Just so we know that those ones are the cheesy ones. And you can use any kind of cheese you want, right? You can use cheddar, you can use some
cheddar,
flavored
mozzarella,
cheeses.
if you like the flavor. Just watch the fat count in the cheese because it'll tend to pull the oils out if you have too high. Okay, so next, because we want to fill our pan for the oven, we're going to make some sunflower flax. So we're going to use the same ratio again, and the seeds are already in. You can add whatever seeds you like.
Okay.
Okay.
And when you start the mixer, always start the mixer slow.
Right.
To incorporate the ingredients a little bit first before you crank it up.
Otherwise, you could have a real big mess. Okay, so this has been mixing for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take it off the mixer and we're gonna add and finish off our pan. Perfect. Now, if you were dairy-free and you still wanted to do cheese light bun, you could always use the soy cheese.
Yeah, there's a few options out there for you for sure. Soy cheese, and I think there's a rice cheese, a couple other different things. So I'm in charge of scooping.
You're in charge of scooping.
Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing, 1 scoop per, and we're gonna make 6 of these guys.
Yeah.
These ones are a favorite of mine because I love that nutty kind of texture in my buns.
That nice roasted flavor that you get. Okay, and once you scoop those, then what we're going to do is we have a little bit of sunflower seeds and flaxseed that we're going to sprinkle on top just to give it a nice finish.
You know, if I was a restaurateur, this would be the best way to go gluten-free in my restaurant because it's so easy to use. And you can make fresh buns in like no time.
And with the ratio being 3 to 2, it's very easy to just make a little or make a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's the flexibility of the mix. It's great. Okay. That's good.
So now we're going to put them in the oven. We're going to put them in the oven at 350, and we're going to bake them for about 20 minutes.
Okay. And the oven's been preheated. We're ready to go.
So now we're going to make our dessert. We're going to make an apple harvest coffee cake.
Sounds excellent.
So I've already pre-peeled and pre-cut the apples for you.
Okay.
And we're using a pound of Granny Smith apples today. And it works out to about 6 or 7 of the medium-sized apples.
These little babies here.
You betcha. So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to coat them with the cinnamon and the granulated sugar.
Okay.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll take my 2 tablespoons of sugar and my 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, and we're going to put those in the bowl first and just give them a little mix because it's nice to get them incorporated first before you put the apples in. Otherwise, you might get a little heavy on the cinnamon, for example, on one of the apples, and it just.
And that would be a little bitter if you bite into that. You betcha.
Then we're just going to put those in there.
Okay. I'll get rid of that for you.
And just give them a nice toss.
So while you're coating the apples, I'm going to make the cake part.
Okay.
So we're going to be using our all-purpose celiac flour today again. So first off, we're going to crack our eggs in the bowl.
No shells, I presume?
No shells.
Very good.
Okay, we're going to give it just a little bit of a whip. Now, if you don't have a KitchenAid, by all means, you can use a hand mixer.
Yep. Now, this recipe, is this your recipe, or where'd this come from?
This recipe we actually discovered in a newspaper. It was in a local newspaper, and we decided to try it out and adapt it. We want to